Hi, Vasant. Do you also want to say a couple of words concerning Raqamaya, or?
Yes, of course. Welcome to this session, which I dedicate to myself, actually. I was really interested in the topic, and I think this is a challenge we are all facing, but I'm not here to introduce the topic. We have two experts who will do that. I would like just to welcome you to Raqamaya, and I will be very happy if you just stay tuned and join this session and the other sessions as well. And I will be here at the session. If you have any questions, just write them to me in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. Well, thank you very much, Carol, for supporting Digital Arabia Network and Raqamaya.
So thank you, Vasant. I think we can start. So hello, everybody. I also would like to welcome you to this session called Lost in Calls, creating a productive virtual work environment. My name is Martina. I'm the moderator of this session, and I work at Global Project Partners. I'm a colleague of Vasant, and we're an active member in the Digital Arabia Network. And I'm calling in from Berlin, from Germany today. So hello. During the talk, Kara and I decided, because we're such a small and cozy group, we're gonna do it as interactively as possible. So just jump in, ask your questions, post your comments in the chat, whatever you feel like, and we take it along the way. So no need to mute your microphones, basically, or you can also switch on your cameras if you feel like it. I'd like to introduce Francisca, who's our tech support today. So Francisca, if you just want to say hi as well.
Hello, everybody. Enjoy this nice meeting.
And hi, Lena. Hi, nice to see that you're on board as well. So let's get started. And I'd like to introduce, of course, the topic a little bit. And I'd like to also change this so I can see the cameras more and see your faces a little more, and I'm not distracted by the visual. Yeah, so where are we? What is our state today? We started off before the pandemic, of course. Most of us were pretty normal office workers, and we had, of course, we also were used to video conferences, but always in a more office environment, and maybe also while traveling. And then this all changed suddenly. The pandemic has started, and within a couple of weeks, we had to switch from being total office workers to being totally remote workers. And now again, after a year plus into the pandemic, now we've entered a kind of new normal, a hybrid mode, we could say. So we quit the virtual workplace, and we're a bit remote still, but we might also go back to the office. And this is, of course, a paradigm that we're not quite ready to tackle. So what is in store? What is in front of us? What do we have to expect from this hybrid workplace? So together with you, I want to, and of course with Carol, our main speaker, we want to explore a little bit what the challenges that are lying ahead. How can we cope with them? What's in store? What is happening? We want to take a look at various aspects. Carol has prepared a wonderful presentation, and we'll give a lot of input on the subject. So hello, Carol, and hello, Lebanon. We're really happy to have you on board. And so who are you, and why and how can you support us in, tackling these really, really difficult questions and adapting to these new challenges?
Thank you, Martina, for your amazing introduction, and I would like also to thank the Digital Arabian Network for allowing me and giving me the chance to share a little bit of my experience. Actually, I am an HR and an organization development expert. I have been HR director for years. I've been HR consultant, organization development consultant, also for a long time. And finally, what really is really interesting for me is to impact others and to impact organization positively and to trigger change. And this is one of the main motivators. And this is why, by chance, in December 2019, I wanted to create something regarding human resources that is available online and easy to access. And this is how I just got an idea about creating an online platform called hrhotline.com. So what is hrhotline.com? It's a callback center that link you with very high and specialized experts to answer your question. So we're not going to, we're not in deep consulting. We're not going to really let you in very long, heavy project, HR project. HR hotline is just to give you the right advice at the right time. So we launched the project in January, last January 2021, after a year preparing all the website. And you know, I'm an entrepreneur now, so I also do understand how much hassle. So, and it's quite interesting, and really we're really succeeding in creating a change within the organization. And we're quite happy of that. And also this experience is very valuable for me because I'm also leading a very big social entrepreneurship program for the European Committee, which is called Safir. The idea is really always to go to the operational part of the HR with the knowledge, the academic knowledge, the deep knowledge of the consultancy. And this is where we wanted to join. So today we are living a quite complicated time, not only because of COVID, but because all our paradigms are changing. What is the new normal? Remote, office, hybrid. Actually, when I wanted to prepare to the presentation, I was really very astonished by the difference of statement that you have on the net. Employee are quitting instead of giving up work from home. Then I see another article, another study saying exactly the contrary. People don't want to stay at home. People want to go back to the office. Finally, today, there is something new that is coming to life, which is the new hybrid work model. What is it, the new hybrid model? It's a mix between office and remote. And frankly, it's another way of living, but it's also quite another challenge because it's very complicated and very, you know, it's new. It's like the vaccine. We don't have any idea what would be the consequences. We're just taking it. So this is a little bit about the hybrid workplace. As Martina said, please feel free to jump in, ask questions. We're a small group. We're here to answer also all your questions. Martina?
I think the excellent thing about this session is that we are all experts. You know, it's a challenge for you, Carol, I have to admit, because, okay, you're the super expert, but all of us went through this learning curve and somehow have a feeling of what is working, you know, in terms of remote, hybrid, back to full-time office, and where we feel comfortable with or where we feel kind of, you know, not at ease. So I really would like to trigger some responses also from the audiences, or please share your experiences also with us. You know, what you have experienced also during the pandemic. You know, how was it being a virtual team member rather than a full-time office manager? So please join us in the chat, or just unmute your microphone and join the session. So we want to have it as lively as possible. And again, I think we are unique, or this session is unique, that we are all experts in this field. So Carol, thank you again. I just want to also draw the attention to some examples also that I've read, which I think we all came across. So one was that British Airways is actually thinking of selling the headquarter, which I found was like a really interesting news. So which means like, okay, we don't need this anymore. We will go full remote, at least with our, you know, administration. And then also a different thing that I read, which I find really interesting, is that Apple actually wanted their workforce to come back to the office, and the workforce then said, you know, actually we feel really, you know, we want to keep working remote. And there was some kind of little conflict. I don't know to which scale it went, but this is what I thought was really surprising, reading this from, or hearing this from, a tech company. So you said we have to face 3 challenges, I think. And the first challenge that you mentioned was the motivation and the engagement. So can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Sure. Motivation is something very difficult to trigger in people, because it's a highly personal issue. However, we always use the terminology engagement, which means getting people to work towards a common purpose, a common objective. In both remote and hybrid workplace environment, engagement is a key. Otherwise, you're going to lose your people. And how do we create this engagement? This engagement is mainly, first of all, about creating a positive work culture. In remote and hybrid work environment, the culture, the DNA of the company is diluted, because we don't have regular contact, physical contact. So one of the most important things is really to bring all your team members around common values. And this is very important, especially when you're dealing with Generation Y and Generation Z. Generation Y are the people who are today around 30 years old, Generation Z, 20, 25. Those people are really very, very much purpose-driven. They want to work for something. They want to know that their efforts will lead to a positive impact somewhere. So it's very important to manage any work environment with trust, with ethics, and not only by announcing them, but by living them. And you're going to ask me, how do we do that? We can send quotes every day to our team, quotes about ethic value, quotes about trust. We can create safe spaces where people like to share. We can increase openness. And it is really something that is very important to undergo, especially that with Corona, the physical well-being and the physical and the mental well-being has been jeopardized. I'm going to give you one element that happened with me. When I started working online, I had this team, all Generation Y, very young. Every day we had to meet and we had to share, how do we feel? You know, I am a Generation X. I'm not here to share my feeling. I'm not here to talk about how do I feel. I am here just to work. And I wanted every day, they came back to me and said, Kara, how do you feel today? Oh my God, again, I'm going to tell them that I had a fight with my husband. But at the end, I understood that this is their way to communicate. This is the way to create a safe space, a safe heaven where they are feeling well. But not only, this is a way to show me that I need to stay positive. So the day that I used to be very down, I had 5 or 10 youngsters, very positive, smiling and sharing gratitude and sharing happiness. And I started feeling like, yes, I want to share. And yes, I'm going to talk about my hard time, but tomorrow we'll try to find a positive element. So this is the way you're going to create a positive, a safe space that will allow really to bond together, which is not possible anymore when you are really apart, or even when you're working in hybrid workspace.
And so what would be the difference then when you say between totally remote and hybrid in terms of creating these kind of values, or
Yeah.
also the codes? Can you give us also examples on the
Sure.
codes that you were mentioning?
Sure. The difference is when you're remote, you're in control. You're in control of your communication. You're in control of your nonverbal behavior. You are in control of your image. Now I'm talking to you, but I'm watching myself talking to you in the camera. So I'm really in control. So I will be 100% sure that the message I'm conveying is really the proper message that I want to convey. So I'm not in the manipulation, no, but I'm rather in full control. Once you will be in hybrid, so once you will have to communicate verbally with someone who's standing in front of you, you're losing the control. So this is where you start having contradiction. So if you're not really positive and you're not really into the company culture, and if you're not really into the values that you are promoting, this is where we'll have the difficulty, and this is where we'll have the discordance. So it's very important, before getting people to come back physically, to make sure that they will be able to control, or at least to abide by, the values we are promoting. So this is something very important, Martina.
And isn't there a conflict kind of? So say, for instance, I'm a team manager. So I have to manage my team, hybrid and remote. But then there are also the corporate values kind of, which I have to cater for. So can there sometimes also be a conflict between those two, the way I want to manage my team and maybe the way I have to kind of let the corporate values flow into my team management?
Exactly, Martina. Today we are living in a multi-dimensional world. Even when we are working, we have 2, 3, 4 screens at hand, and this is exactly what's going to happen in the office. So me as a team manager, yes, I need to be multidimensional. This is something very difficult because people are not used to that, especially Generation X. Generation Y, and then they're very used to be multidimensional. The Generation X are more used to be one dimension. So yes, not only I need to be adaptive regarding the workplace culture, the corporate value, the trust, the ecological value, the social impact value, this is one side, but also we need to adapt in terms of generation. I cannot address a motivation scheme for a young 23, 30 years old person like I'm addressing it for a Generation X. So the challenge is huge as a team member, and you will not be able to succeed it unless you're really genuine with yourself, unless you really promote positiveness. Not promote unless you are really positive, deep down inside of you, or you are really kind. We are also working today on something that is a new trend also, which is called kindness at work. If you say to a Generation X, what you are kind, it's like you're insulting him. But today, more and more, during the workplaces, in the workplaces, both virtual and hybrid, we are working with kindness, because this is the only moderator, the only thing that you will be moderating people around. And also it leads me to the other point, which is communication. Communication today is the main tool to win anything. Communication is in our life, it's overwhelming. However, it's something that we cannot anymore avoid. Today, miscommunication is something that is really very prejudiciable and very serious, both in remote. Can't imagine what miscommunication can generate as a problem in remote workplace, but also in a hybrid workplace. In order to control your communication, you have really to improve your listening, and not only your listening, you clarifying. Did I understand well? But also, did the person in front of me understood well? This is a major element. Another thing, we need to over-communicate. Why do we need to over-communicate? Because we have so much information that if you don't over-communicate, your message will be diluted, will disappear in the sea of information. Finally, there is other elements that are really coming also through. First of all, the tools. Oh my God, Slack, WhatsApp, mail, Telegram, you know, as a company or as any hybrid group work, you need to limit the communication. Are we going to use mail and Slack? Are we going to use mail and WhatsApp? Or are we going just to promote WhatsApp? This is very important, because very often you don't read it, you missed it. You think that you read the message on Facebook, but it was on Slack, you forgot about it. And also, let me tell you something, notifications don't always work. Very often, for such a reason, you are not notified. And finally, there's also a new trend coming, which is asynchronous communication. What is asynchronous communication? Is when, if I want to send a voice message to one of my team members, I am free at 10 p.m. This is the only moment I had a free time, and I can just record it on my phone, but I don't have to send it at 10 p.m. I can wait to send it at 8 p.m. Today, burnout that is resulting from remote is really very, very high, because we are working 24 hours all day and all night. So asynchronously is when I do assigned jobs at a time where they can do it freely. Not sending an email, please send me without an hour your presentation. Let them, give them time to work it at 11 p.m. if they want to, but not if you want to. This is a little bit a difference between the two.
But this is a funny paradigm, so let me also jump in here, because I mean, it always goes both ways. You know, as an employee, I'm also sometimes, you know, tempted to send a certain outcome or show my productivity by sending emails at, say, 10 p.m., you know, just by showing, okay, see, I'm still active, I'm still doing the work. And of course, this needs to meet management where this is also understood, you know, as such. So also, again, it comes from the management, right? To show the team what are they expecting, and how they want things to be performed also. And then I also wonder whether you could elaborate also a little bit, how do we integrate newcomers to the business or to the team with these new challenges?
Yes, you know, Martina, we have to understand that our life today is 24 over 24 connected. If we're not connected for work, we're connected for pleasure, unfortunately. I think all of us are like this, and especially the new generation. So to come back to your first question, it's very important that the management shows some boundaries in order to get to the old normal, where you can talk and you can work between office hours, even if we know that people will not abide that. But this is a way where you're going to show respect and trust and set the standard for communication. Now, for your question regarding the onboarding of people, upon my experience, the online onboarding is very complicated. It's very complicated because the time that you spend with the online, the time you spend with the newcomer is very short. When you onboard people in an office environment, you are with them nearly all days. They have to meet people, they have to stay together, they can go and have a coffee, which is not available online or remote onboarding. What we did for the remote onboarding, we created a pass for people in order to onboard them a whole day. So after the team meeting, we set individual meeting with each one of them. Then we set some exercises, online exercises, in order for them to be able to grasp what is the culture of the company, and this go back. However, if we are working in the hybrid world, I do highly advise that the onboarding be done on a working day in the office. This is much more interesting than to onboard them online.
Yeah, definitely a challenge. So let's look at some statistics again, which before we move on to the next challenge. And let me repeat myself again, please, as you're all experts in this field, please join the discussion. Please post something in the chat, or unmute your phones. We'd love to hear comments and also your experiences, because I'm sure everybody of you have experienced something along the way during the pandemic, after the pandemic, before the pandemic.
Can I take you up for that offer too? Because it's hard to know.
Lina, thank you.
When to interfere. Thank you so much, Carol. I've been really wanting to hear you talk. And it's really very, very interesting what you're presenting. I have actually two questions. The first one is this dichotomy that you presented about people leaving, not wanting to come back to work, or people being actually wanting so eagerly to come back to work. My question, is it really related to the generations that you discussed? So one generation set wants to get back to work, the others don't want. And how can you really ensure then inclusivity? So that's like the first question. The second question, with mentioning of like Martina, when you mentioned Apple and British Airways, who gets to decide on whether the employees should get back? Is it like, do the companies have to ask their employees and then get input? I do remember that, for example, when I was working at Delivery Hero 2 years ago, when the pandemic started, we really were asking the people, hey, do you feel safe to come to work? And we were very actively going and asking. And I don't remember that we did the same thing now when we decided, who gets to come back and who. So my question is like, yes, how do you take this data that you want to get the employees to be engaged, right? But on the other hand, you still have business numbers to hit. You want to maintain a big office in New York, like with Apple, what they did, and you really don't want to get this office to be wasted. So my question is about inclusivity and about decision making for those. I think that we can, like, I used to be a scientist. We can pull any data from here or there. The question is, with which data we feel that is supporting our cause.
Thank you for amazing answer, Lina. You're amazing because you took us to the last slide, from the beginning. So the second question, I will answer it at the end of the talk. However, about who feels better to stay at home and who wants to go back to work. Actually, there isn't any conclusive study. Maybe it's not really related to generations, but it's more related to living style. I think if we approach it from this point of view, you will understand that the young generation are really digitally native. There are people that are more at ease with screen, more at ease to communicate through WhatsApp, more at ease to communicate through virtuality rather than to go and meet people. And with the team I'm working with, which are completely remote, it took me 4 months to invite them to come for a lunch at the beach restaurant. 4 months. And also they say, oh my God, I never saw you. Oh my, I never imagined you this way, or you're too short, or you're too big, you know? And it was like very weird that they see themselves other than a screen, you know? How, when you have the non-digitally native people, they are used to go and play outside. They are used to go and meet people. Imagine even today the university stage where it's your socializing doesn't exist anymore other than virtuality. So no, it's not really, it's not only about generation, but it's also about the lifestyle that we are used to live. So what is the normal for them and not normal, and vice versa. And I will answer to your last question, to your next question a little bit later. Thank you, Lina.
Thanks a lot for joining. So before we move on to the second challenge, I'd also like to share a little bit of statistics with you. So I think what you said, Carol, is kind of the new normal is like a big goodie bag, you know, you grab in, but you don't really know what you're getting. And I think this illustrates a little bit the numbers that I've found, or some examples with some German corporates, the big ones, of course. So the Siemens company, for instance, they have now decided a 50-50 model for their employees. So 50 remote, 50 office. Then we have the German Porsche, the car maker company. They have agreed on a 12-day remote per month. So a new model. Okay, then we have the German Henkel company, you know, for whatever, washing powder, these kind of things. Yeah, they offer 40% remote, 60% office. And then we have the German SAP, which is a tech company or close to it. So they leave it totally to the employees to decide. And of course, you know, so every company seems to be different now. Yeah. So, and I, as an employee, and this goes back to also the question that Lina has, although we are going on to the next slide, is who is now deciding, the management or thank you, Inas, for joining. So basically, I think we're still in this phase of everything is changing. So, and this is the new normal. But let's move on to challenge number 2, the productivity and the performance.
Exactly. What is very important to understand before knowing which model company must choose is that today the paradigm of policies and procedures, performance and productivity has changed. Today we're talking about a concept called attendance. That is, what is attendance? Is it 8 to 5? Is it 8 to 5 online, 8 to 5 on the job? So really, we have to really completely rethink the policies and procedure that used to be in place, because it will be impossible to apply. And this is very difficult. Imagine a leader, a manager, a boss that used to check each week who was late, what is absentees, who took worse vacation, this kind of stuff. The whole paradigm has changed. We cannot anymore apply our policies and procedure as them. So first challenge is to rethink our policies and procedure. Rethink also the tools. Are we going to give computers for employees to work from home? Are we going to tackle ergonomics of chairs at home? I have someone who stayed at home for 20 days. He has a bad chair, then he has back pain, that he's missing, absenteeism is up because he's using he has a bad posture. This is something that is new. On the other side, why should I give computer or PCs or laptop or printers at work and not provide them at home? We have another kind of question coming up. Why an employee has to use his printer? Or why an employee wants to wait until he's in the office to print, or he's not allowed to have a chair, a work chair at home. So all these questions should really be thought of. There is also something else which I call funnily the COVID cost. You have people who are not afraid of COVID. I'm not afraid of COVID. I have lunch with people, but you have people who develop very severe traumas of COVID. I know someone who doesn't even go out of his office if someone is near. So how can we manage that in the office? You know, the fight for the air condition, it's too hot. But now, oh my God, he came next to me. I was working on my PC and this guy came next to me to talk to me. And he didn't have even a mask. You know, you have people who developed phobia on COVID. So how are we going to manage that? How are we going to manage the feeling of the people? The mental state vs the policies and the procedure. This is a huge program. There's another challenge also about policies and procedures. It's a legal status. 2 days ago, we received it also my team that I'm working with, a notice from the CFO. Several people did not sign their timesheet. Please sign them, otherwise we will not transfer the money. I started looking at this message and says, you know what? What is sign them? Is it copy and paste my signature in the Excel sheet? So, oh yes, guy, I can go and copy paste the signature of everybody, you know, each one. So where is legal? What is the privacy? How can we make sure that what we're doing remotely is equivalent or as much secure as the one in the office? What is about the data of the company? They are on the PC. You know that when I was working in the bank, we blocked all the USB port in order that no one can take. So now you're giving him a computer and say, come and take the computer at home and bring it whatever you want. So there is so much liability. There's so much issues at stake when mixing between the office and the remote, that really the management or any business owner or business manager should really thought about that. And this leads us also to the other one, the performance and the productivity. I just remember when I was working with one of my team members at first, I was really very, very, very annoyed. What is she doing? Why didn't she send me a WhatsApp to tell me what is she doing? You know, I wanted to know. Supervision, micromanagement, even management in today's hybrid environment is also outdated concept. We need really to rethink how we are going to secure the outcome of the jobs. And this is, you know, I don't know, this is really something that is completely not only new, but it's completely specific to each environment and to each workplace. So this is also a very complicated concept. So you have also something else that comes along. When you're at work, you see people working. You know that they're working. When you don't see them working, are they working? You don't know. So you have this also a difference between, I'm seeing the people working, I know that they're collaborating, I know that they know each one what they're doing. This is fine. This is day one at the office. But what will happen day two at home? Who is working? Who is doing something? How can we know what they're working? Sometimes we can't, so we catch up later. So this is why it's very important to create this kind of dual methodology. When we are in the office, we create asynchronous work, enhancing collaboration and catch-up. And when we are remote, we're going to push for asynchronous work, more deep work when you are going to really prepare and get ready what you're going to do in asynchronous work. Because very often what's happening with us now in the remote and also in the hybrid workplace is that we don't have enough time to do deep work. We're meeting because we feel like meeting and we feel like catching up and we feel like collaborating, but then we don't give to us enough time to do some deep work. So this is something really very complicated and it cannot be improvised, because if you don't prepare it, then you're going to go to a lot of problems. Yes, Lina?
I feel like compelled to ask this question now, although I don't know what will you say for the third slide, but because this topic is sort of reverberating. I mean, you mentioned, Carol, that, you know, if it's remote, then it's asynchronous, and if it's
yes.
If it's physical, then it has to be synchronous. But what do you do when, like, here you're sort of saying, "Hey, Lina, come to work today because I need you to be there," rather than respecting the fact that, you know, like, today it doesn't fit me to work because it is. So how do you do? Because this is like, especially when Martina was talking about like the percentage of companies who came up with 40% hybrid or 20%.
Exactly.
The challenge is, how do you again are inclusive to make sure that you're not sort of doing this dichotomy, this and this, policy for this and policy for that, but rather making it your and this is the biggest challenge, is that and again, I'm going to rewind to the first incidents of the pandemic, when I wanted to run a workshop, and some of the people they came from Singapore, so they needed to be in isolation, and I was like, guys, what do we do? Should we just do it in the office and then call those guys in? Or should we actually, everyone go home and do it all remote? And, you know, that was and it was the beginning of the pandemic. That was a very hard decision, because from one point, it is creative work. You want to do it synchronously together, but then invite those two people to call in. On the other hand, you know, saying, well, just because one person cannot make it, we switch back to asynchronous. It was really a big challenge. So yeah, my question is, how do we deal with those? You know, it's neither black nor white. It's gray.
Exactly. Now, just I'm going to answer to your question. Hybrid model, by definition, is to let the employee choose. This is the definition of hybrid work. You come when you want, and you stay at home when you want, and you come when you want. However, from an operational point of view, this is not advisable for several industries. I think, and I'm going to go back to the last slide, but I think the industry that you are working with is very important, and this is how it will push or make your decision about what is the hybrid model that you're going to choose. The other thing also, whether you're working hybrid or remote, finally, we have a work to do and we have objective to set. And the only way today to ensure objectives, both remotely and hybrid way, is really not very complicated, is to focus on outcome, not task. And to create something that I created now, I don't know if it exists. It's not management by objective, which is a very known management technique, but I call it management by micro objectives. This is when you will be able to create a model that will adapt with your business model. And we're going to tackle that a little bit later. But Lina, there isn't any solution, one-size solution. And me, I'm a very disruptive people, and I don't like built-in models. But when you know the challenges and you know how to address them, you will be able. But again, we're going to say, well-being of an employee is amazingly important issue on HR. So don't tell you, but if you don't reach the productivity, then you will not need no more employees. So
I'm going to be finally one more, the devil's advocate here. When we talk about management by micro objectives or by objectives, we're talking about, as you mentioned, about the outcomes, how much results. I don't care if you do it all in 1 hour, as long as the outcome is there. But what we're now witnessing is that companies are saying they are working 25 to 40% more, and the outcomes are also respectively more. And this is not sustainable.
Exactly.
So I'm like thinking, oh my God, what will happen when we go back to hybrid? Those numbers will not be sustainable.
Sure.
We have already shifted the bar higher. So how do we get back to sort of still being respective of the individuals in the company?
Exactly.
Tolerable to what they can do rather than just pushing them to more outcomes.
Exactly. Today, the only way we are able to have a equilibrium between the outcome, the well-being, is really to understand that the youth or Generation Y and Z doesn't have at all a long-term frame in their mind frame. They're not long-term, one. Number two, they're not strategic at all. It's very difficult for them to conceive strategic. That's why, this is not my invention, that's why there is also a management technique called the fishbowl management technique. What is the fishbowl? It's just to create kind of boundaries where you allow people to have a certain autonomy, but you control the biggest outcome. So today, if I set micro-objective fishbowls to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 100 people I'm working with, I'm able to control the outcomes. I'm able to control the time they're spending on that. And I'm able to control all negative effects. However, what is very difficult, it's me as a manager. I need to have like overcapacity of planning and designing in order to have a comprehensive and a cohesive planning. Otherwise, and this is what we are witnessing in the startups and in the ecosystem and with mid-level SMEs, very often we're not really achieving what we need to achieve because the upper management or the manager or the owner doesn't have enough time or enough resources to have this mega, very structured, amazing strategic plan that allows his people to have their safe haven in the fishbowl. I think someone,
Yeah, there was also a question from Nadia, I think. Or Nadia, you have raised your hand, so of course we'd rather.
Yes.
So please, Nadia, go ahead. Your question or your comment.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm very happy to really feel and see all your challenges as if that myself I'm talking. I'm a managing partner of a consulting, human resources consulting firm. And we have a great challenges, as you have said, that how to manage people remotely or hyper work or etc. However, what I have, my comment, what I have found out, and this is my experience I would like to share. It depends on the personality of the worker and personality of the employee, his own personal objective. And because I have two extreme, one working from home during 4 hours, she has surpassed the objective. And the other working the 8 hours, and it is hardly the 40% productivity. So I start knocking what is the reason. Then I found out that, and this is what I want to share, in the current status and the challenge which we are meeting, every manager should map the people first before choosing the type of management. We don't have a common philosophy strategy we can apply it like before on our employee. It has to be, unfortunately, customized, and it has to be well taken care. And this remind me of our management focus, that you have to take care of individual needs and integrate it with the organization needs, and then come up with the strategy. It takes hell of time, yes, but it really help us at least to pull down and reduce the hypertension when we found people obliged to work remotely and I did not find productivity and results. Thank you. I hope I am of a benefit for such remark.
Thank you, Nadia. Thank you for joining us. So, Carol.
Yeah, thank you, Nadia, for your amazing answer, because actually you answered my questioning and Lina's at the same time. And yes, we need to customize, but also there is another problem in that, is how to be fair. How to be fair and how to be able to really align all those people. It's very difficult, you know. Again, I'm going to say it's like the vaccine. We're taking it, but we don't know the side effects. So I have a question for you, Nadia. Would you leave the very performant employee at home and get the other one back to the office?
Actually, unfortunately, we have to manage by objective, and I have to capitalize and invest time on the high performance.
Exactly.
We don't have enough time to really spend it on non-performance. However, the fairness comes from the trial. My duty to give a first advice, second advice, and use whatever means, either to call her to office or to have more supervision, to put more KPIs and whatsoever. But hardly 3 trials. After that, we have to declare that very strongly that during the current challenge, we cannot really, we don't have time. Actually, we are running a tough business. Clients, they are really over our heads, and their needs is huge. And we have another challenge of rationale, cost and expenses. I really, this is my personal experience, I am investing on the white horse.
Yeah, exactly. So we need
This
to
leads
be...
us to the third challenge, actually, Carol, right? To how to keep the talents, right? Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yes, exactly, Martina, and thank you, Lina, Nadia and Lina, for your comments. It's very complicated to be able to sustain a positive, productive hybrid environment in today's job market. Regardless if there is a shortage, a surplus, regardless what's happening, we have two major issues. First of all, the benefits, the salaries, the non-financial benefits, the advantages. We have a big problem because it doesn't fit all. Today, if you're talking again on a youngster, generation Y, meaning 30s, they were more purpose-driven than financial-driven. However, the new generation is again very much financial-driven. So again, here we have another. So what kind of benefit you want to tailor? What kind of advantages? What is the status of the finance you are going to give? This is something really very complicated, but unfortunately, it's not enough to keep your people. We used to have the training. Oh my God, it was so nice to be sent to do a management training in Berlin where you meet people and then you go and have dinner and you enjoy Berlin. But now you management training in front of Zoom, and people are really, they cannot anymore sustain the employment purpose value, the added value of a training is not anymore as meaningful as before. You know, today you can have a Harvard training just, and even you can have it free if you're lucky, if you're right then that you're stuck in your house, I don't know where, you know, so how are we going to keep our time? Today there is really purpose, there is values, but there is also something very important which I call the retention game. Once you understand that is completely impossible to retain people more than a certain period, once you get ready to hire and to keep people in the training loop, in the onboarding loop to replace, this is the only tool that will allow you to sustain a culture, to sustain a productivity, and to sustain a active workforce. This is the only. I've been working in HR for more than 25 years now, and we never could retain people, never could retain talent. We always retained people no one wants, yes. You know, people, very not performant people, these people will never move. But however, your business talent, your best talent, you can retain them for a year, you can retain them for 2 years, but you know, you have to understand that they will be moving out. And this is the only way when you put system to keep the memory, to keep the history of their work, and to let them train and prepare other talent. This is the only way you can win the retention. Any questions? Yeah,
I have a question or a remark. Okay, usually for a big corporate, it's easy to, you know, to attract talent because they can pay well. But what can I use, say, as a small or medium-sized enterprise? Because this is the background most of probably the participants have, and also we have. What can we do in these new times, the new normal, to attract talent and also to keep them well for a certain period of time, but at least for 2 to 3 years?
Martina, of course, big corporation can attract a lot of people, but also have a huge turnover, which is the definitive ends up having the same stuff. However, in small and business companies, the only way to retain people today is to create a bond, to create an emotional bond between you and your best talent. Why? Because this is what they want. The young people, they work for purpose and they work for passion. So if you create an emotional bond between you as a manager or you as a company and them, you will be able to retain them until they have a better emotional bond that will come and take the place, the one you build. But really, really, you have to enhance purpose, human relations, okay, and show them they're meaningful for you, they're meaningful for the company. This you will be able to gain 6 months to a year. So I want to be very optimistic.
That's not very optimistic.
What about payment? What about money? You know?
Yeah.
Because all the generations that you mentioned, Carol, there's also people are leaking out because they are not being fairly paid.
Sure.
So money get into this equation.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, in small and medium business enterprise, you can never pay over the market. You don't have, unless you have very high, how do I say, very high, just hold on, just hold on. Okay, I'm sorry. My plug was not in and my computer wanted to shut up. Okay, so the money is something that is really very important, but it's something that we have no control on, especially when we're talking about SMEs. And the other element about money is that you cannot pay a best talent more than other, because the inequity within a small company, it's very transparent. Everybody will know that you're paying Martina more than Francesca because you like her, and this will generate a lot. I think what you need to do to handle or control the money issue is to be fair. This is what I can pay. I'm paying you the same. I'm fair with you and with others. And if I can do more, I will do more and go with variable incentive. And this is what we're doing now in Lebanon. In Lebanon, we have a very difficult economical situation where people lost 80% of their salaries. And I have a lot of my clients coming and saying, what can we do? And you give what you can give. So each month, those companies are paying bonuses. Never the same bonus, never the same amount, never a big amount. It's just an amount. And they're very clear with their people and very honest. This is what we can give you. And this is what we are going to give you. If you want to stay with us, you cannot win at this element. So you need to really lower as much. Now you can go with, of course, advantages, non-financial, create some meaningful element like moms try to find deals for kindergarten, or just to find like things that will not cost you a lot. Create a system that, you know, there is a company where we create a support system about food. Okay, I have too much, for example, oil. I can come bring it to the office. So whoever needs this element or this clothes, or, you know, we can create a lot of elements, a lot of programs. But however, you cannot win with this element, which is the salary.
Thank you, Carol. This is really important, I think, for a lot of us. So we've almost used up our time, but there is a final remark, right, Carol, that you have in store for us. So today we want to look at the magic bowl. So what's ahead? What will the future look like?
This is special for Lina.
Okay.
Lina, the new normal is your solution. Today, we can go from completely remote to completely office. We can decide to push people to work from home, let them choose, have a hybrid where 3 days at home, 2 days where the employer chooses, open with some kind of restriction, or really say, come on guys, we're fed up from remote. There isn't a miracle solution. The miracle solution is your solution. knowing that, first of all, you need really to create a very strong bonding culture, very strong communication, very strong emotional and virtual physical link with your people. You need to set very clear objective, micro objective, more than objective, to make sure that outcomes, and really you need to engage people to help you make your workplace a better place. This is the only way. Yeah, say, come on people, I'm here, I have to run this company and I want it to succeed. Are you with me? If you will with me, let us work together in order to make it work. And this is the only way you will be able to sustain this period, because we don't know what is the future. We don't know if the COVID is coming back. We don't know if the COVID is going to disappear. We don't know if virtuality is going to be the only, and we don't know what the future is made of. So it's very, very important to, and we call it mobilize in French, it's mobiliser. In Arabic is tajayyush, which is a more army terminology, meaning gathering people around a common project to engage them for the success of this project.
Well, thanks a lot, Carol, for these really, really nice and motivating words towards the end of the session of Lost and Caught. I hope you can take with you a lot of food for thought. But we have another question. Yeah, this is Mariam. Hi, Mariam.
Hi, Carol. It's just about maybe something I see in my company. So I'm not an expert. I have some experience, but I'm not an expert. It was really interesting, everything you said. And I think it's really important, the engagement, and it will be a big challenge, because there is a thing that during this period, I think it has succeeded. The remote work has succeeded maybe more than we expected, because it's people we know, that we trained, that lived with us every day for years or less, but at least for months. Now, if we stay like this, there is like new people coming to our company we don't know about. And here will be the real challenge, when the turnover will induce less people we know, more people we don't know daily, let's say, or I don't know how to say it, sorry, I'm French educated. But that's why it will be a more and more big challenge to engage them with us and to get the good performance from home, because the one of the COVID period were really were already trained and perfect, so it was okay. But now it's new people which we have to train remotely sometimes, etc. I just want to say this. Sorry for my English.
Thank you, Miriam. We really understood it, and this is what Martina and also Lina were talking about, is about onboarding new people and the dilution of the culture. And this is why I think if you can, you need to onboard them physically. If you want to secure kind of outcome, you need to onboard them physically. Otherwise, you need to onboard them virtually, but around like every day, 6 hours in contact, in order to create this bond, because you're talking about creating a bond that will be diluted. Thank you, Miriam.
Thank you, Myron. So thank you, Carol, for all this good advice, all this food for thought. I can only talk for myself, so it's a lot for me to digest. And I know I also will have to change a lot of things in terms of, remote management. I'm somewhere at the beginning, I feel. So I hope also all the other participants could profit from this lively discussion. Thank you for joining us, Mariam. Thank you also for joining us, Lina. Thank you, Nadia, for calling in. And thank you, Carol, also for doing it so lively, so passionately. That was really, really nice to have this talk with you today. And please also check or join us for all the other sessions, know-how sessions, community talks to come during this day, tomorrow, and the day after. So today we still have a session on leaving no one behind. This is 6 p.m. CET, Central European Time. We have a session on platform economy in the Arab world. And we have a session today also on fake news and the right to criticism in times of COVID. So please join us later on at 6. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Lebanon, for giving us a stable internet connection. And thank you all the participants. Also, please join us again. And later on, we also gonna have, we're gonna make a video. So all of those who were not able to listen, so please forward this to your friends and colleagues. You can join the session then later on also in a virtual context. So thank you. And I'm saying goodbye from Berlin. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Lina, for being here. Thank you, Martina, for this amazing moderation.
No, I can only be as good as the presenter. So I'm totally in your hands. Thanks, Carol. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us, and enjoy the football game.